Okay, the recording has started, the transcription has started, and I will make these available on my YouTube channel as soon as I can. The reason I'm saying as soon as I can is because I need to download them, transcode them, and then re-upload them, and takes quite a time. So my apologies if it takes a wee minute, but they will get there in the end. If there's any issues, previous year lectures are already on my YouTube channel, so you can get an early start if you'd like. Okay, so I suppose what you'd really like to know is what this is about. See, you've no idea how cool that would have been if it had actually popped up, just as I said, you want to know what's this about. But my computer, as ever, is too slow. Some of you promised to do a GoFundMe for a new computer. It didn't happen, and I remember exactly who it was. So let's have a wee chat about what the module's about, and then I'll take you through how we'll assess it and where everything is, okay? So as you know, it's called Professional Computing Practice, and this module is about non-technical aspects. So what we're finding is, or what we found was that students would graduate and they'd be very good on technical stuff. You know, whatever your specialism is, you'd be good at programming or good at networking or good at firewalls, whatever it happens to be. But going out into a profession, going out into the workplace is broader than that. So we were asked by employers to ensure that we had this kind of module in place. And it's also a key part of our British Computing Society accreditation, who also require this. And I've said require there as though we're only doing it because we have to, but of course we're not. We're doing it because these are really good skills to have. It's important to know about the wider computing landscape and how we fit into it. It's important to know about what our responsibilities are in terms of being a professional, what the ethics of doing particular things may or may not be, and where the legislation that we're going to come up against fits in. Now, I'm not saying that you'll come out of this able to take a degree in philosophy because we've touched on ethics. But I do hope that you come out of it having thought a wee bit about some of the times where you may or may not want to do things. I'm not saying you'll come out able to qualify as a lawyer, but I hope you'll come out of it having thought about some of the legislation that will affect you in your profession and to understand some of the ways you might respond to it. For example, everybody and their granny knows about GDPR, if only because every time you go to a new website, it pops up. And all the things about storing your settings are all GDPR, so they're all in legislation. The other thing I've noticed if you go to a website is how that's approached. Some companies make it easy. Proceed without giving us permission. Proceed giving us every permission. 2 boxes, choose one, get on with your day. Others are slightly less forthright. The options might still be there, but there might be, a bright blue box that says proceed to site, and then light blue on white saying click here to change your settings. And then when you go to change the settings, there's 20 pages of boilerplate before you can actually change anything. How ethical is that? How ethical is it to hide your legislative rights from your users. So, as I say, you won't get to the bottom of any of these things, but I hope it will give you enough experience of them to allow you to take them into your working life. The bit I jumped over there was about professional institutions, because I'm not sure what we have here. Are we, or is computing a profession or a job? And what's the difference in the first place? Does anybody want to put anything into the chat that says whether it's a profession or a job? In fact, very quickly, is computing a profession? So you've got a poll coming up on your screen. You've got a poll coming up on your screen. There we go. Is computing a profession, yes or no? Just answer that for me, please. I love these kinds of things, if only because I can tell who's turned on the computer and then just wandered away to feed the cat and who's actually paying attention. Okay, so lots of you saying that computing is a profession rather than a job. So let me ask you another question. What do you think makes computing a profession? What is it about computing that means it's a profession rather than a job? So you've got another poll popping up, and this is about words. So whatever you think about computing that makes it a profession, type it in and let me know. Is it how much you get paid? Is it whether you get to wear a snazzy shirt and tie? What is it that makes computing a profession? Is if you haven't yet seen it in the chat, or on your screen, depending where you've got it, you should be able to see that poll, and you'll be able to see the responses. And we're seeing some interesting ones. Range of jobs has been in there for a while, but it's also got skills, education. Now there's so many, it's gone smaller, and I need to make it bigger. Variety of jobs, technical standards, data, range of specs, lots about range, lots about expertise and education and all that kind of stuff. Job titles is an interesting response. Does giving someone a title make them that thing? Did giving Liz Truss the title Prime Minister make her a Prime Minister?
Christ. I mean, for 44 days anyway.
There must be a way of making this word cloud bigger. New skills, which says it isn't just about the skills that we have, it's acquiring new ones. Range of knowledge, wide range. So we've got a whole set of things there that suggest that it's not just about going out and applying for a job and hopefully getting it, that there are some fundamental things about us that means that we're a profession. And you come up with some of those in that word cloud. It's about knowledge. So do we have specialised knowledge? Are there things that we know that other people don't? Did we have to prepare? The fact that you're here today suggests that we do. We have to actually prepare to do this and get that knowledge. But on the other hand, we probably can't say that because we've done this, we are finished. Otherwise, I would be in a back room somewhere programming in Fortran or COBOL, because that's what my degree did. Sorry, I was only smiling there because I also remembered that when I did my degree, it was also maths and stats. So it was about half computing, half mathematics and statistics. And you want to take a guess at who my mathematics lecturer was? And we've already mentioned a member of his family. Believe it or not, my mathematics lecturer was Liz Truss's father. However, that's neither here nor there. Lovely guy, by the way. Great guy. Really nice guy. So we have preparations that we need to do, but we have to evolve to take into account new things. We also have to have certain standards. We can't just say, oh yeah, okay, we've done that because somebody asked me to do it. No, you have to have certain standards, and when you do things, you have to reach a particular standard. You can't just say, okay, that's fine, just go ahead. You have to have a standard that you want to reach. Whether that is a standard in terms of the work that you create, and whether that reaches a certain technical standard, or whether it's an ethical standard, or whether you've done your best, whether you've done the best thing that you could, and whether you've done that in accordance with the best ethical practices. Later on, when we're doing ethics, we'll talk about some of these. For example, some of you might remember maybe 5 years ago, Volkswagen were fined an awful lot of money because of their emissions strategy. What they'd done was they had programmed their engine's computer so that when it was being tested, it pretended that the engine put out less emissions than when it was actually on the road. Now, a programmer programmed that. Was that an ethical thing for that programmer to do? So we'll try and think about things like that and think whether it was reasonable. We'll also try and figure out where we are in the broad spectrum of things that exist. So in our tutorial, what I want you to do is look at these kinds of jobs or these kinds of professions and try and decide which they are. So again, just we'll talk about it more in detail, but just as a quick yes or no, is a lawyer a profession? Nobody answering, or is it just my screen not updating? Is a lawyer a profession? Can somebody tell me, is that not popping up? I'm not seeing it updating.
Yeah, it's updating, Tony. There's 65
Oh,
spaces
yeah.
so far.
It's just popped up now. I don't know why it was paused there. Okay, most of you think that a lawyer is professional. What about the next one on our list, a plumber? Are you talking about a prosecutor or a defence lawyer? Just lawyers, Nicholas. Okay, most of you think that a plumber is a professional, but the numbers are more split. What is it, about a 7-to-1 for yes, no? 6-to-1, going to now. Okay, what about the third one? What about a cleaner? As we've moved through these, we seem to be moving away from profession into job, which is an interesting result. And we're going to have to think about whether or not these titles involve being a professional or involve being a job. And looking back at the word cloud that you all gave us, I'm going to assume that your responses for cleaner are about perhaps education. Is that a reasonable assumption? Is it can't be standards. Are you saying you accept a cleaner that doesn't clean? Presumably cleaners want to have the best standards as well. It's more about ethical standards. Okay, what if you're a cleaner in a hospital who doesn't do the job properly? Is that ethical to leave a dirty ward? So we're going to have to figure out what we mean by these things. Sometimes it's not quite as easy just saying yes or no, despite my attempts to make you do so by just giving you the yes, no. Nicholas wants to change his answer. So we want to think about what it is that actually goes towards making a professional. So you identified some of them in your response. So we're talking about training, we're talking about preparation. And that's specific knowledge. And that's maybe what some of you were thinking about when you were talking about being a cleaner. We couldn't do without cleaners. Cleaners are essential. And cleaners know how to do things that certainly I don't. I wouldn't know how to get a blood stain out of a carpet. But then I suspect the cleaner wouldn't know how to write a program in Python. So the question becomes, which type of technical knowledge do we care about? We probably want to ensure that we can update our knowledge. We definitely want to do that. We can't say, yes, I have learned this now, let's go. Mark makes a good point that cleaners have to know about chemistry as well, otherwise they can kill themselves mixing together some cleaners. We want standards in whichever way you define a standard, and a duty of care, which is why I'm saying a cleaner's got as much a duty of care as a lawyer. There's a point being made that, okay, somebody cleaning a university is not going to potentially cause millions of people to lose personal data. True, because they're not going to be working with data. But one cleaner working in a hospital could inadvertently spread E. coli throughout a whole hospital and kill hundreds of people. Is that more or less responsible than losing millions of personal data? And it's those kinds of questions that start making it tricky. There's an assertion that lawyers set legal precedents. No, although courts can, judges can. Lawyers will argue for it, but a judge would set a precedent, which someone else has come in and said. If you don't have the chat open on your screen, by the way, please do. There's lots of chat going on the screen, which is great to see. Mark, I didn't beat you. I think it's just that I think it was simultaneous. So put the chat up on the screen and please contribute, because this, one of the things I hope you've figured out by now, this isn't a me tell you something, you parrot back something type of module. And in fact, I was very clear in the module materials. I might not even believe the things I'm saying. So it's up to you to argue for them. Oh, law is the profession and lawyer is the job. That's an interesting perspective. For any of the stuff that we're doing here, a lot of it is open to interpretation. So I want your interpretation as well. If I'm getting it wrong, tell me. If you disagree, tell me. Because you're never going to know if I'm saying something because I believe it's true or because I'm trying to create a talking point. So if I say something outrageously wrong and you just sit there and nod along, I'll know. That said, clearly there are some things in here that are facts. The fact that GDPR exists is a fact. The clauses in that act are facts. But a lot of the stuff is about our approach. So if we're trying to think about what makes a professional and what they do, maybe we could start to codify that. Maybe we could start to write down what we think it means. And some do. We put down codes of conduct. So for us, one of our professional institutions is the British Computing Society. And they have a code of conduct that if you're a member of the BCS, you have to conform to. Other professions do the same. They've had them, in fact, for centuries. They've said, if you're going to do this, if you are, for example, going to be a doctor, here are the rules that you need to follow. Primum non nocere. This is great. Last week I was doing Greek characters because we were doing equations. This week I'm doing Latin. And as someone's pointed out in the chat, I don't know if they've read it off the screen or translated the Latin in their head, but it's first do no harm. It's the Hippocratic Oath, and it's what all doctors swear to uphold before being allowed to practice. But of course, that's up for debate as well, isn't it? Is first do no harm up for debate? See, here's the thing. First, do no harm sounds fairly straightforward to me. Don't hurt people. And yet, over 80% of you are saying, no, let's harm people. Let's allow doctors to harm people.
I mean, if he has to amputate my leg, I constitute that as harm. But I mean, if he has to harm me to save my life, sure, go right ahead, you know.
And that's where we start to have issues. Because that's a good example of clearly cutting off someone's leg is doing them harm. But are we doing them more good than harm in the long run? If someone gets cancer, they get treated with chemotherapy. In other words, a doctor introduces drugs into your system that's designed to kill cells. That sounds pretty harmful to me. And yet we probably wouldn't argue that that goes against the Hippocratic Oath, because the larger picture is that you get cured of cancer. So these things can be up for discussion, and that's certainly what we'll be doing in here. Any questions about that?
I mean, isn't that like the word hypocrisy? You know, it's a Hippocratic oath. It's claiming to be, you know, bigger, better than what it is in fact.
I think they've got different roots. I don't think they're the same thing at all, actually.
Oh, never mind then.
Yep, surgery is trauma by appointment. So is it do no harm intentionally or maliciously? Someone's saying, is that why surgeons lose their doctor title and referred to as Mr. or Miss? Actually, no, that's just a historical thing, and it actually came from surgeons being less qualified in olden times than doctors. In other words, if you wanted somebody to cut off Nicholas's leg, you didn't want a doctor, you wanted a butcher. Literally a butcher. Someone who knew how to cut through flesh and cut off bone. So quite often surgeons were simply Mr. or Mrs., although back then Mr. rather than Doctor. See, you thought you'd come in here and be a boring lecture about professional computing practice, and we're talking about cutting people's legs off. How good a lecture is this? Indeed, it's been pointed out that there's a red and white pole outside Barbers. Tradition has it that that's for the blood that would come out when Barbers performed minor surgeries. Okay, so that has been an hour, would you believe? So I think we need a break. So let's take 10 minutes and I'll see you back here in 10. Okay, and we are back. Good to see that the chat's been going on. I'm just quickly skimming in case there's actually questions. There is a question that I'm going to ignore this now because I'm just about to come to it. And it's interesting that one of the things is about, would it be correct to say, I don't know, you tell me. Anything that you've thought about, and I know you have been because it's all in the chat, anything else you've thought about before we move on and discuss how we're actually going to get this thing done? No. Okay, so let's talk about where stuff is, what we're going to do, and how it's all going to work. So first thing to know is you really, really, really need to read your emails. One of the questions was about Owler, and I did send out an email. And I know that I've sent out an email because I used the announcements forum to do it. Which says very clearly, somewhere,
Yes, very clearly. You don't need to search for this at all.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, there we go. There it is. I've even made it in bold. It is clear you. Owler does not support the range of assessment methods used in this module, so we will not use it. So, part of the reason you keep getting these emails is to remind you to join our team. There's our team there. Clearly, we're all meeting on Teams, so you'll get access to it. I need you to join our team. One of the things that you'll get on Teams is some channels. So we've got channels that are specific to the campuses. Now, one of the things Teams does not do, it'll send you a notification that you've got something in a channel, or you've had a posting, but please check which channel it is. It doesn't actually say. So here we've got something for Lanarkshire only, where Lewis is asking about his tutorial. Okay, so it's Lanarkshire only. But we've got a general channel where we have got all of our stuff. So if you have questions, if you have things that you want to know that are general to the module, put them in there for two reasons. One, it means that everybody will see them and will see the answer. And the second one is we do have issues with email. So your question, if you email me, it can go to spam. Not always, but sometimes. So stick them into Teams and you'll get an answer in there. The other thing that you'll get in Teams is a link to all the information. So like it said in here, all of the module materials and the student information are in OneNote notebooks. So there's general student information, and that's for any of your modules actually. My computer's been slow as usual. So it's just general information on all sorts of stuff. How to contact the hub, assessment thresholds, different tools that we have available. So feel free to go through it, click on the different sections, and then click on the different pages to get all the information. Okay, so there's links, either it's my information or it's links to university information. So that's general student information, but there's also specific module materials. So this is a OneNote notebook that covers everything that we are doing. So again, and yours might look different. depending on the, so there's OneNote for the web, there's OneNote for Windows, there's OneNote for Mac, there's OneNote for Windows 10, there's OneNote for iOS and Android. There's lots of different OneNotes, so it might look slightly different to this. Regardless, there will be sections, and you can see here the sections. There's preparation, introduction, assessments, and there's professional institutions that we'll be doing, ethics that we're doing, laws that we'll be doing. And then within them, there are different pages. General information, module descriptor. Anna, are you definitely in the correct team? Comp 09093, Professional Computing Practice.
Yeah, the thing, sorry, I only can see another general team, another group. Not yours. Sorry, I can see yours.
Katrina says you only have one crypto. Right, okay, you need to join it. So back here in the message that you got, you need to join the team. And I see that I've had a message saying, please admit me to your team. You don't need me to admit you. Go to Teams, click join a team up in the corner, join a team with a code, and then enter the code. Okay, that will give you access. I'm been asked why the meeting is separate from the team. It's actually a technical reason. If you attach it to a channel, you have fewer options in terms of inviting people, in terms of recordings, in terms of the polls and things I'm putting up. That is coming together, but it is slightly different. If I do it this way, it means that I can send. So say, for example, I did it on Teams. To invite the 100 or so people that are taking this course, I would have to type in all your email addresses individually. If I do it the way I'm doing it, I can just do a copy and paste. And then it gives me more functionality as well. So yeah, that's why. If you don't have the team, follow these instructions. You did have this, you got it in an email, and it was sent to you on the 11th of October to give you plenty of time to get into the team. So go join the team. If you then still have an issue, ask me again. So once you get into the team, you will see all of this stuff. You don't need to access this from Teams. You can do it just from the link that I've sent you as well. So whichever way you fancy. Either way, a whole set of sections and pages. So there, for example, is the introduction presentation that we've just gone through. So everything is in there. And importantly, everything is in there from day one. All of the materials are there from day one. All of the materials, all the assessments are there from day one. So you can read ahead. Anna, you've got in, good. Not only can you read ahead, you should read ahead. So these are in the order that we'll be doing them. So if you're a section ahead, you will be fine up till there, because it starts to get really busy with all the different laws. So I've split these up. One of the things into the introduction is the syllabus. So it will tell us what we're doing. So not only are all the materials there, what we're doing and when we're doing it is also there. So you'll see that this is the week of the 24th of October. So we are doing our introduction and possibly professional institutions if we get enough time. Because it's a multi-campus module, some meetings are in different days. So I always say it's the week of. So this is the week of the 24th. This lecture's on the 25th. Lanarkshire and I think Dumfries both have your tutorials on the 26th. But just make sure you check the dates. So you can see when we're going to do things and when the assessments will be available. They're all there from day one. So make sure you found this and make sure you go through it and read it. As I say, it might look slightly different. This is the one within Teams. If I do my OneNote for Windows, you'll see that the sections are along the top and the pages are down here, and I've got different notebooks over here. So it might look slightly different, but click around until you find it. In your third year computing, I'm sure you'll manage. The other thing that's in there is a link to the YouTube channel. So all the lectures are recorded and are there. And in fact, previous year's lectures are there already. So if you want to get ahead, you can do that too. And there's also a link to Moodle and the assessments. Now, there's an issue with Teams that it won't always, depending on the browser that you're doing, show a page. So this is Firefox. It can't open the YouTube channel. It does in Chrome, but Firefox doesn't like it. I think there's too many redirects. One of the cybersecurity guys can work it out and tell us all. However, you can always just click to open the site in a new window, and one of them is our Moodle site. So that's this one here, which is at My UWS AC UK. Again, you've got that in the email, My UWS AC UK, or you can get to it from My Day. And what you'll see when you get there is my computer being slow. Let me just change it into student view so you see it exactly the way you'll see it. Okay, so you'll see some sections down the side. There's actually very little in here because all the materials are linked in this OneNote notebook. So you can click on it here. If I click on that there, it will take me to OneNote for the web, and you can see the same materials in there. So the materials aren't there anymore. There is an announcements forum and the assessments. Okay, so there's not much in Moodle anymore. We'll do discussions on Teams, and we'll do assessments on Moodle, and your module materials are on OneNote. Everyone happy with where things are? Can everyone see things now? Anybody get any questions on that before I move on to the actual assessments? Not fair. Anna in her picture's got a beer and I've just got a cup of tea. Right, everybody's found everything. Okay. So let's talk about what we're going to do in the module in the format that it's going to be in. Honestly, it would have been so much more impressive. There we go. So, as I said, the module is about non-technical aspects, and there's three major sections: professional institutions, legislation, and ethics. As you know, we've only just started. It's a half module, so it's only for half a term, and you get 10 credits for it. And I'm saying there's roughly 8 topics, but you can see the topics themselves on OneNote. I would urge you to read ahead. I would urge you to read the stuff before we do it. It means that you can work on your own schedule and that you're not bogged down. It means you've got some flexibility in what we're doing. And what we're doing is that sort of stuff. The materials are available on Moodle, but it's only a link to our OneNote. It covers all the materials, but I want to be really clear, not all the answers are in the materials, okay? The materials are a jumping off point for you to start thinking about things. And you can see that if I go to, for example, professional institutions. I've got pages here of links to codes of ethics for the Association for Computing Machinery. Now, we're not going to cover that in this lecture. We don't have that long in the lecture. But there are reasons that there are pages here, and there are reasons that there are links. You will want to follow those links. You will want to read these pages, okay? I didn't just set them up because I was bored one day and wanted to make my document bigger. They're there because they're jumping off points for you to get answers. You have to read around the topic. And you're starting to see that just with the first hour that we did. There's things there you couldn't answer without actually thinking about them. So read about it, talk about it with your classmates, make up your own mind. Because of course you are going to be assessed on this stuff. So there's going to be 4 assessments. 3 multiple choice assessments, and that's 1 each for professional institutions, ethics, and legislation. Each of them follow the same format. It's 20 multiple choice questions. So 3 at 20 gives you 60%. You will also have a written assessment that's got 40% of the marks. All of the thresholds are the same as you'd expect, 30% for each of the aspects and 40% overall. 40% is the minimum I would expect you to get, but I hope that you'll be aiming for higher. Now, the assessments that we do are probably different. No, they're not probably. They are definitely different from anything you'll do in any other module. So, as I said, 3 multiple choice assessments. These are on Moodle. And they're in the assessments section. They are all there from day 1, so that you know what they are. If you go to Moodle, they're all in the upcoming events calendar, so that you know when the practice assessment opens, which is this Friday at 9 AM, and when the practice assessment closes. Okay, all of these things are in here right from day 1, so that you know when everything's happening, and that links up with the syllabus in your module materials, okay? So 3 multiple choice assessments, 20 questions, but not the same 20 questions. So I've got a big pool. I've got 300 or 400 questions sitting in the background. When you take this test, you will get 20 random questions from that big pool. Now, unlike other modules, the assessment stays open for 1 week. So you can see here that the practice assessment starts on the 28th and closes on the 4th. The professional institutions assessment starts on the 4th, ends on the 11th, and so on. They are open for 1 week. And you can take that assessment as many times as you want. You can take it anywhere that you want. You don't have to come into the classroom. I won't be looking over your shoulder. You can take it as many times as you want, anywhere that you want. But as I said, they are randomized, and each attempt is random. So every time you retake it, it will choose a new set of 20 random questions. So it's not taking the same assessment over and over, it's taking a version of it. When you take the assessment, Moodle will tell you your score, 12 out of 20, whatever. What it won't tell you is where those 12 marks came from. So you can't just sort of take it and go, oh yeah, answer to this one's this, answer to this one's that, write it down on a wee bit of paper, take it again until you manually go through it. It will tell you your number, and it will tell you the number you got, but it won't tell you which ones. It will once the assessment's closed. So once it's closed, you can go back and look. So you've got a wee bit of a choice to make. Do you stick with the result that you got, or do you twist and have another go? That's going to be up to you. Do you hand in the first thing that comes to your mind, or do you act in a professional manner and try and get the best result that you can? And just so that you know, it's not the best mark that's recorded, it's the last one that you take that's recorded as your mark. There's no extensions, there's no, oh, hand this in a week late, it's open for a week. Don't ever bother sending me an email saying, oh, I forgot to do the assessment. It's open for a week in a module called Professional Computing Practice. If you can't take the assessment within a week, don't bother emailing me and asking me to open it up again. It's not going to happen. The practice test and the exam do share the question pools, but there are sections in the question pools. So there's sections for practice, there's sections for professional institutions, there's a section for ethics and a section for legislation. So they share the same big pool, but you won't have the same questions. Anybody get any other questions about that?
Tony
Mm-hmm.
and Smana. Did I read that if you repeat the multiple choice assessment, the time reduces every time you do?
Oh, sorry, no, that's a slightly different thing. It's not when you repeat it. So no, you can take them as many times as you want and the time stays the same. But, and thank you for reminding me, you get 20 minutes for the professional institutions assessment. You get 15 minutes for the ethics assessment, and you get 10 minutes for the legislation assessment. So these things get harder as we go on. But you will always have the 20, 15 or 10 minutes for the actual assessment.
Oh, okay.
Some people get extra time. So there is an extended time version. If you wish to claim that, email me and I'll add you to the group to do that. You want to know what it looks like? There's the practice one. Oops, sorry. Try that again. If you want to know what it looks like, here's the practice one. Oh, for goodness sake. Where did the practice assessment go? There we go. Just looks like a standard multiple choice test on Moodle that I'm sure you've had before. Nothing to be. Are those three assessments the multiple choice ones? Yes. So you've got a practice one. That doesn't count. That's just if you haven't worked on Moodle before. So we do have some people who have only joined the program in third year. So this is just if you need to practice it. It is not recorded. It's not anything. It's just for you to practice. And then there are these three assessments that are mapped. Any other questions about the multiple choice? Okay. The second part is a written assessment. And as I said, that's 40%. Now, all of the materials are available to you at the start. You know when it's due in because it's already on Moodle. It's due in on the 2nd of December. Don't wait until the 1st of December to start writing this. Start writing it now. Kai, how you can get into which interface? I'm not sure what that question means. If you put something else in, I might be able to help. So what I want you to do is look at a case study. And again, it's in here already. So in the assessment section, there's a peer assessment case study. And it's a very short case study. And what it's saying is, it wants you to create recommendations for a formal computer use policy. Okay. When you're doing that, you have to take into account the ethical issues, the legal issues, and perhaps, not perhaps, relate them to the policies of professional institutions. Okay. This written assessment is peer assessed. By which I mean, when these have been submitted, you will receive 3 random anonymous submissions. Now, I've said on there from your class, and that's actually a lie. This is running on 4 campuses. You won't even know if they're from your class. You'll get 3 from this whole module. There could be people in your class, there could be people at a completely different campus. You're then going to mark those essays. Now, you do have a marking scheme. It's there. So it's things like, define the role of professional institutions. Was it not done? Explained slightly, explained, or explained well. So you're going to read them, and using these, you are going to mark the ones that you have been given. You're going to get 3 of them. Those 3 marks will be combined. Now, just so you know, it's not a straight average. So if 2 people give you 30 out of 40 and somebody gives you 5 out of 40, the algorithm takes that into account and says the person that gave 5 probably wasn't reading it properly. So you'll get something like 28 rather than a straight average. I want to be really clear. It's in bold there. It's highlighted in yellow here. When you're marking these, there are 39 out of 40 marks. The final mark is for the peer assessment itself. If you don't do the peer assessment, that is treated in the same way as not having submitted anything at all. If you don't do the peer assessment marking, you will get no marks for this aspect of the module. Okay, so it's not just about writing and submitting your report, it's about doing the peer assessment as well. If you don't do the peer assessment, you cannot pass. So why are we doing this? Well, do you know, you guys are in 3rd year. You could, I hope you don't, but you could at the end of this year say, yeah, I've got a degree, bye-bye, I'm off to find a job. I mean, I hope you stay on for your honours, but the point is you could be going out into a job. And on your first day in, somebody could say, oh, the boss has asked me to create a report. Would you mind having a look at that and tell me what you think? And you can't say no. You're going to have to read it and have an idea of what is going on and whether it's good or not. So what I'm trying to do is do that in here. I want you to start thinking about what it's like to look at other people's stuff and decide whether it's okay or not. I want you to think about the subject in its broader level, because you're reading other people's approach to it. You might then decide that your approach was better, worse. There might be things that you've done that they haven't, or vice versa. So it gets you more involved in this. And it means that you're better prepared when you're out in the workplace. Yes, I do seriously believe anyone in their right mind will give an important report to the new guy for their input. Not only do I believe it, it happens, but possibly not for the reasons that I've just given you. They might not actually want your input, but they absolutely want to know what you think about it. They are judging you. They may or may not take on your comments, but they will absolutely ask you to do it. And there's people coming into the chat saying, yes, they do. And I know that at least one of those people has been in industry and knows that they do. Because remember, the stuff that I'm doing isn't just about academics. Before I was a lecturer, I had a proper job. So yes, it does happen. This is straight from what used to happen when I was in industry. Oh, and you're back in it? Oh, you'll need to tell me later. Sorry, Ansamara?
I thought lecturing is a proper job too.
I always like to say that to annoy all my colleagues who've never had a proper job. Okay, so anybody get any questions about that before we move on? No hands. I've answered the questions in the chat.
I think Asuman has a few questions.
Ansamana, do you have questions?
No,
Are they in the chat? Did I miss them?
I was just finding them up.
Ah, okay. Yeah, thanks, Harry.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's all right.
So as I say, this is about being a professional. This is about what might happen. And I'm sure some of you are thinking they're saying, well, what do I know about it? Or what do my colleagues know about it? And how can I trust them? So here's a wee twist for you. You're in the workplace. You've created a report for your boss. You've given it to your colleague to say, what do you think? They hand it back to you saying that's a pile of junk. Well, at that point, you've got a choice. Do you say, no, I'm happy with this. I'm going to submit it anyway. Or do you go, okay, maybe I'll work on it. Maybe the same thing's happened with this. Maybe you don't believe the peer assessment. So you can challenge. In other words, you can go to your lecturer and say, I don't agree with that mark. Now, there's two possible outcomes. Your lecturer can agree. The boss can uphold the challenge, give you a different mark. Not only will you get a different mark, you'll get a 10% increase in that mark for understanding your own input. Of course, the opposite could happen. Your mark could stay the same or even be brought down because your boss might think that actually your colleagues were being too kind to you to spare your feelings. So you'll get a lower mark, and in fact, that mark itself will be decreased by another 10% for being insufficiently aware of the standard of your own work. Be very careful if you decide to challenge. I've been running this module for about 5 years, and in 5 years and about 1,000 students, I have had one successful challenge. So be careful. Just so that you know, I'm going to be looking at the peer assessments. I'm going to sample them. I'm going to mark some as well, and I'm just going to put that against what people are giving. I will quite often do that if I see, sometimes I'll see people just going 35, 35, 35, done. So I will pick out those, And in the same way as you won't pass if you haven't done the peer assessment, if you haven't actually engaged with the peer assessment, in other words, you haven't actually read the things or given a proper mark, that will also be held against you. So I will look at them as well. And just the final one, you have to do this stuff. This is how we do engagement. So if you don't engage with this, clearly you can't pass and you won't get the module. And given that this is a core module for most of you, all of you, I think, that would be disastrous. So make sure you come to the lectures, make sure you come to the tutorials, make sure you engage, and make sure you do the assessments. Any questions? There's a good point in the chat, which you can take up at your tutorial. Is the simple act of taking an attendance ethical? You've all gone ominously quiet.
I'm making my peace.
Okay, so all this stuff's in there. The assessment is in there. Case studies in there. The marking scheme's in there. There's also a link there to some tools that you can use. Because remember, what you probably want to do is remember that other people are marking your work and they might not be as generous as me. Other students might not try and find the marks to give you them. So you probably want to use headers, lists, contents, all that kind of stuff to make sure that you're really clear about where you want to get the marks. There's a link there to some tools for that. And there's also a lot more tools in the student information OneNote. Okay, whole pile of stuff that you might find helpful. Are we making our own template, or is already one in a template for the report? If you mean the template for the report, there isn't, and it's for the same reason as there's no word count either. This is a professional report. It's up to you to decide what should be in it, the order it should be presented, and the best way of getting across your points. So that's part of being a professional as well. There's no point in me saying, here is your template, fill this in, because trust me, when you end up out in the big bad world, your boss isn't going to say, give me a report on the best firewall software for the business, and here's a template with all the stuff already in headings, and all you need to do is fill in the stuff. You just go on with it. So no template, no word count, no anything. However, you will find the marking scheme helpful in terms of the stuff that you want to get in there. Yes, as Jennifer points out, if only that were the case, if only you got a template for these things, if only you get that kind of help. But certainly for this one, the marking scheme is one that you want to be familiar with. Because if everyone else is marking you using that marking scheme, you probably want to use it to get the stuff into your report. I haven't written an essay in years. Don't think of it as an essay, think of it as a work report. And better that we do it. I was going to say better that we do it here, and that goes for all of this stuff. Part of the reason we do that in here is so that you can practice doing it in here, so that when you go out and do it for real, you've had a go at it before. So better here where it's supportive and you're doing it in a particularly narrow place rather than going out into the big wide world. Somebody asking you to do something and going, oh no, how do you do that? So that's why we do all of this stuff. I really am trying to make it that it's about what you do in real life. As I say, it's the sort of things that if I was still in the position where I was interviewing people for a job or overseeing their work or whatever, it's exactly the sort of stuff I would be looking for. So this isn't stuff that I've been asked to put in. This is stuff that I have taken straight from industry and put into this module to help you guys. Any other questions or comments?
Just one about tomorrow's class. We have a detail tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Are we going to use the same link?
Katerina, I know that you're speaking, but I can't make you out. I don't know if it's just me or...
Just a second, I will try to change this.
So you're dead echoey, quiet and echoey, in fact. Try that again. Maybe type it out, Katerina, or something. I can't hear you. Did anyone else make that out?
I think she's restarting her Teams or something.
All right, okay. Right, let me stop the recording. As I said, this recording will be available on the YouTube channel.